All right, we're going to talk about the mechanics of how a FRC match actually plays out and what goes on during the match. Uh, so we're at an event. How does the schedule work? What is an alliance? What are ranking points and how do they work? What are the different stages of the match and who are the people that are actually on the drive team? So we go to an event. Uh, we show up. We get all set, and then Saturday morning, the event will start and we will get a schedule. Schedule is going to show all the qualification matches for the event. There's probably about 60 qualification matches for a 30 team event. And this is going to be basically a schedule that shows 3 robots versus 3 robots in each match for each of those matches. So we play about every sixth match or so. Uh, so it's going to be all day Saturday and then Sunday morning. So we probably play 8 matches on Saturday and then maybe 4 on Sunday for a total of 12 or so. So 3 robots together make an alliance. There is a red alliance and a blue alliance in each match. Schedules are randomly generated by people who have complained about the schedules. So you might have a difficult schedule, you might have an easy schedule, depending on how that goes. And you're going to play somewhere between 10 to 12 matches, depending on how many teams are in the event. I think we're playing 30 team events, so I think we probably get 12 matches in our schedule. Uh, so, in qualification matches, you're going to have a unique set of alliance partners each match. We might play with the same team more than once. We might not play with some teams we'll never see at all. Some teams will see multiple times. That's just the randomness of it. When it actually comes time for playoffs, we form an alliance for playoffs and we play with the same partners for the entire duration of the playoffs. But qualification is a new set of partners each match as you're going through qualifications. So the goal of a match is to have your alliance outscore the opponent's alliance using your combined strengths to achieve that common team goal. And your goal is to try to win the match and accumulate as many ranking points as you can get. So what is a ranking point? So there is likely 4 ranking points available in each match. The way these break down, there are 2 typically associated with winning the match. So if you win the match, you get 2 points. If you tie, each alliance gets 1 point. If you lose, you get 0 ranking points of those 2. There was probably an additional 2 ranking points available as well for some other goals you could achieve during a match. One of these is typically based on scoring volume, so the number of game pieces that were scored in the match. So if your alliance scores a lot of pieces, there's probably a threshold you need to achieve. If you exceed that threshold, you earn that extra point. And then there's probably another ranking point that is based on achieving a certain amount of things during the end game. And if you achieve that, that is worth another ranking point. Now, these ranking points are different every year, but this has been the typical pattern for the last couple of years. But that does not mean that's what will happen this year. It could change at any time. But that is a good guess as to what they will be this year. So a perfect match, the best you can do would be getting 4 points out of a match. So even if your alliance does lose the match in points, you can still earn 2 points based on those extra 2 goals, even if you don't outscore the opponent. So for an example here, if you look at this final score from this match here, this involved us 4903. We won it with a score of 69 to 50. In this case, our team got 4 ranking points. You can see over here, 4 ranking points. The other team got 1 ranking point. So in this one, we scored 18 balls in the goal. and you needed to get at least 18 in the goal. We scored more than that, and you needed to get at least 16 points in the hangar. We got more than that, so we earned those 2 ranking points from that. The other blue team, they lost the match, so they did not get the ranking points for the win. They didn't get it for the scoring the volume, but they did get more than 16 points in the hangar, so they got the ranking point for the end game. So this changes your strategy a little bit as well. So if you're going into a match and you know from your scouting data that your team is probably going to lose overall, you may alter your strategy to try to at least get the end game rank points or the volume rank points, or just focus on one of those tasks and not necessarily worry about winning the match, as opposed to focusing on the win and not focusing as much on gaining those extra bonus goals. So the match has 3 distinct stages to it: autonomous, teleop, and endgame. A match for the last many years has been 2.5 minutes long, or 150 seconds. Autonomous is typically the first 15 seconds of the match, and in autonomous, robots move on their own without any operator control. So the operators are hands off. Robots are just running on their own. If you're familiar with FLL, this is basically the way that all FLL robot paths are done. It's just robot running a pre-programmed set of commands to move on its own and score points on its own. So in auto, the robots gain points either just by moving past a certain point or by scoring game pieces. So they typically start with at least one preloaded game piece and can pick up others from the floor or other locations. We would expect at a minimum our team should be able to score our preload and move in auto from multiple starting positions. So you need to be able to have different autos available to you, because you need to coordinate these with your other alliance partners in any given match. So you can't just have one auto and say we need to start from this position every time, because you need to be compatible with your partners all the time as well. So you need to have multiple autos where you could start from multiple positions and perform multiple tasks, so that you always have a way to work with your partners as well, so you don't have overlapping goals and you don't collide with them in auto as well. Teleop, or teleoperated, this is where the robot is being driven by remote control. So after auto comes to an end, there'll be a sound, and then the drivers take control of the robots, and they basically drive the robots for the rest of the match. Each team is allowed to have 2 drivers that have controllers connected to a laptop that connect to the robot via Wi-Fi, that then control the robot, and they stand behind the glass and drive the robot for the rest of the game. So during this time, the Alliance tries to outscore the other Alliance by playing a combination of offense and defense as they choose. And then we get to the end game. This is typically the final 30 seconds of the match. There is a sound that goes off to define when end game is starting, and basically this is still teleop, so you can continue to play just as normal in teleop, but sometimes rules change a little bit, particularly about where you're allowed to contact robots from the other team and what you're allowed to do during the end game stage. This is intended to be when you do your climb, so this time is kind of reserved for your climb. So the rules change a little bit because robots will be climbing, and then there's points typically given to various levels of climb, or just parking your robot in the correct place for the end of the match, and this is called endgame. Now our drive team has 5 members in total. There is a driver. This is the primary person that drives the robot and controls some of the game mechanisms. The co-pilot also has a controller in their hands. They operate some of the robot mechanisms as well. This always changes year to year depending on what we're doing with our robot, of what the driver does and what the co-pilot does. We'll figure out what makes sense. There is a human player. This player stands in a different location and typically feeds game pieces into the field for the robot to pick up. There is a technician. The technician primarily pushes the cart, helps with the robot setup at the beginning of the match, and is there to help with maintenance of the robot as well. The technician is typically someone who is knowledgeable in either programming or mechanical, to be there to help with the robot if need be. And then the fifth member is the drive coach. This is typically a mentor for us, and they are able to stand behind the drivers and call out instructions to them. They are not allowed to do any of the physical driving or things like that. They are there to mentor and coach only. All right, so let's watch a video here. So this is a behind the glass video from the Fun Network. This is Citrus Circuits at an off-season event, but we'll just go through this. This is actually really good because it shows you the entire process of what they go through here, from pre-match setup to actually running their robot. So this is them with the robot on the cart. So this is their whole drive team. So 2 drivers, technician, and human player, and drive coach. So when they get told the field is clear, you get 2 people that are going to carry the robot onto the field. They will pick it up and go place it where they want to start out for autonomous. So they will place it down, get it all aligned properly. They have another member of their drive team that's setting up their drive station behind the glass, getting all connected. So getting plugged in with power and Ethernet. Get everything set up there. So we got 2 people there, 2 people out on the field. The drive coach is allowed to be out on the field as well, but they're not supposed to be doing any of the actual work. So they're just getting everything all plugged in, ready to go. They're reviewing some pre-match strategy here. They would have already spoken with all of the other alliance partners on their alliance to discuss who's doing what during the match and what the general strategy is going to be. So you can see the preloaded game piece in here. So this team is starting with a cone, this team is starting with a cone. They're going through the pre-match introductions now. The drive coach here in the blue hat is reviewing what's going to happen during the match. So they're being introduced. They're all good to go. They got their laptop with their drive station. They got their controllers down here. Here's an e-stop button that they can press if something goes crazy. They can hit that button and it disables the robot. Okay, and here we go. So this is autonomous. You can see they are not doing anything right now because the robots are moving in autonomous. So they're just watching the robot go. That's theirs. It's completing this, and then robots are going to stop, and now they pick up the controllers, and now teleop is going to start. So now they are driving. So now what is happening? They are driving around, picking up parts, depositing them. They're standing over here. So their drive coach is probably calling out where they should go next, like go pick up cone at the substation over there and come back and where to place it. So their drive coach is yelling out instructions of what to do next. Basically, the drive coach kind of monitors the game so the drivers can focus on what the robot is doing at that particular time. And the driver and co-pilot need to communicate very well with each other to be able to talk about what they're going to do next and coordinate their motions with how they're controlling the robot and what everyone is supposed to be doing. So they're running all these actions. The drive coach is probably also communicating with the other teams on their alliance to make sure everybody's good, or if anybody needs help, if everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. We got 50 seconds left. They're keeping an eye on the clock as well, letting everybody know how much time is left. The drivers are very focused on what's going on just right in front of them and what the robot is doing. They really don't watch the clock that much, so they need to be reminded how much time is left in the match. And now it's at 30 seconds, the sound will go that tells us that end game is approaching, so they need to start preparing to do the end game portion. The end game in this game for Charged Up was basically balancing on the charge station out there. So now it's 15 seconds left, so they are going to start their balance. Everybody's going to try to get on and balance. 8 seconds left. They're going to try to do one more cycle, place one more piece, and park. And they're done. And that's the end of the match. Alright, so match is over. Everybody high fives each other on their team. Says thanks. That's Jack and the bot beside them in the green shirts. They disconnect, pick up their drive station, carry it out of there. They're going to go put their drive station on the cart. And they're going to wheel their cart over to the side of the field, wait for the referees to give the all clear signal that it is safe to go on the field. So they'll stand there and wait. Once the signal is given that everything is clear, they will head out onto the field, pick their robot up, put it on the cart, and wheel it back to the pit. And then the next group of teams will come in and they'll play the next match. This is a continuous process that goes on all day. So get this group of teams out of here, bring the next group in. So as soon as they're given the all clear, they'll open the gate and they'll let them go onto the field and pick up their robot, carry it off. Okay, we've got the all clear, and on they go. And everyone's picking up their robots, carrying them out, putting them back on the cart. They're getting the final score up there, so they won the match, 189 to 167. And that was it. That's what a match looks like.